Hello, everybody. It is a Thursday night. It is the second day of 2025. So, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Um, I definitely enjoyed the first 48 hours of 2024. I even got dressed and gussied up today to go renew my license photo, which I was really excited about because I had the same license photo I took when I was 16. And the backstory there is that I actually took the time to get dressed up, took my license photo, left, came back to pick it up, and they let me know that there was an issue with the camera and they needed to retake the photo for my license that day. And I, of course, looked crazy that day. And that is the beginning of my villain era, my villain origin story, where I decided that it is you should will do your best when you try your best to look your best every day because you really never know. And those moments, those few moments when you let yourself slip, sometimes are the most crucial moments for looking great. So, for about a decade, more than a decade, I've had a terrible license photo that I was quite literally embarrassed to bring out. And today I got to redeem myself. So if you're joining in on today's live, if you're joining in on tonight's live, comment live in the chat so it can pop up and I can say hi to everybody. Let me open it up. And let me know where you're joining from. And if you are catching the replay of this, hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Kyla of It's Kyla, Not Kayla, and I am a go-to style coach for brilliant women who would like to create brilliant closets. And I honestly chose this work because I truly believe that our star power, our style, are a major tool in our arsenal that as women we do not use enough, especially in the year 2024. We did not. So, my content is for the women who are watching this in 2024 and beyond, who are just ready to really up level their style, elevate their style, make it make sense for their lifestyle while still being authentic to themselves. And today I want to talk about a very testy subject that I've been seeing on TikTok and Instagram, and that is the conversation around the luxury purse. Now, we've talked about this a bit before in the past, but this is just so on trend and it's such a great example of when luxury has become a scam. I think that everyone right now seeing that Walmart is creating their version of a Birkin that's being called the Wirkin, and seeing how that circulated like a hot fire across social media, I think that that is showing us just how much we are really just buying just to keep up with what we think we're supposed to do versus actually making intentional purchases that are based off of us intelligently and purposefully and intentionally deciding what our style identity is. Now, there's nothing wrong if you have a work in. I will not judge you. If you have a work in, I actually believe that you should apply to work for like the CIA or something, because if you got your hands on that bag, you're a lucky person because they are sold out across the country. Everybody wants a Birkin. Like the minute that they come back into store, they're gone. It's actually funny because just before I got on here, I actually checked online to see if there are any work-ins available right now, and they are still sold out. So let's get into why the work-in is a thing and if it's actually worth buying it and how should we feel about dupes. So of course, we all know about the Birkin bag, or if you're new here and completely new to style, that's fine. The Birkin bag was created in about the 1960s, I want to say, could have been 70s, correct me if I'm wrong, by Hermès. Hermes, a French luxury brand. Now, they created that bag in a collection of many bags that they have for Jane Birkin. She was a celebrity and it girl at that time. Think about Bella Hadid, think about Sabrina Carpenter, think about those women. back then, she was an it girl. She's a very famous actress, and she was notorious for carrying around a wicker basket that was just filled to the brim with the most random things. Like her "What's in My bag" video would have brought us all to shame. She might have had a living animal inside of there at one point. So of course, the designers over at Hermes were super inspired by her, and they wanted to create a bag just for her. So they created what we now know as the Birkin for Jane Birkin. And it was a bag that she was meant to use the same way she was using those wicker baskets, just filling them up to the brim. They are the most, like, the ultimate carry-all bag. Carry-all bags are definitely an important thing for any woman to have, by the way. A bag where you can toss a bunch of things in there and get ready to go. Something that can hold a weight, something that's durable. So that was really the idea of the Birkin, and it was exclusive. And it still technically, when being sold by Hermes themselves, is an exclusive bag. You do need to be invited to take a look at that bag. It's not a bag you can just walk into the store to get. Now, you see, things like that are what make luxury luxury. The exclusivity, the craftsmanship, and things of that nature are what make luxury such a status symbol. The Birkin is a status symbol. Um, Now, the way that we see people using it now isn't necessarily correct, because a lot of people who finally can afford that Birkin, most of them don't want to fill it to the brim the way Jane Birkin did. It did destroy many of her bags, but if a bag is named after you and you know that you can always go back and pick one up without having to wait in line, you might not care about it so much either. But for the average person holding a real true Birkin, you should ask them their origin story, how they even got that bag. I'm sure there's a story behind it, because it's not an easy bag to get. So that is the history of the Birkin. Now, of course, the Birkin has been sensationalized by social media, whether you're on Instagram, whether you're on TikTok, if you're on YouTube. If you see a girl who has a Birkin, or at least a bag that looks like a Birkin on her arm, she has become an it girl herself. And we've really turned the Birkin bag into a cultural moment, instead of simply just being a bag. And while it's very interesting, there's nothing wrong or right about that. We are getting to this place now where it's really easy to get your hands on a Birkin dupe, just so you can look like you have a Birkin, or maybe you're inspired by the Birkin, you love how it looks, but you're not willing to spend over 10,000 to 20,000 on a bag, which is very fair. So Walmart has their version that came out that I've seen myself, from looking at it, it is very much so structured to look like a Birkin. It could fool the general person on if it's a Birkin or not. Now, what makes a Birkin also is that craftsmanship that Walmart just could never replicate doing mass production the way that they do. However, the average person who just wants that look, $80 for that isn't bad, which is why it is sold out. So what I wanted to talk to you all about today is thinking about, like, do I want to actually spend money on a luxury bag of any sort? It doesn't have to be a $10,000 luxury bag. But if you are thinking about those things, what decisions should you make before doing something like that? And what are things you need to know about luxury bags before you do that? So if you're with me, hit live, type live in the chat. If you are catching the replay, type replay in the comments, and let's get into what actually makes something luxury. I have an example for you today. So let me share my screen, and you all will also let me know if you can see my screen. Hopefully you can. Okay. I'm going to show you the example here. Now, this, like I said before, the Hermes version of the actual Hermes Birkin bag is sold out everywhere. Like, you literally can't find it. This is what you get when you look for the Wirkin. It doesn't even exist. It's so gone. But they do have another dupe for another Hermes bag that is very popular, but not as popular as the Birkin, and that is called the Piticon. Now, someone will let me know in the chat if I am pronouncing that wrong. I did not take French. French is not my first language, but from my understanding, it's Piticon, and it is a beautiful bag. Walmart has made a version of it that's going for about $40. The actual original version is here. This is actually it being resold. As you can see in its used condition, it's still around 5,000 US dollars. Now, what I want you all to do is just see if you can spot the difference. If you can, throw in the comments like what differences you spot between the two off rip. But honestly, for the average person, it would be very hard to just really like, unless you're staring at somebody's bag, it'd be hard. It would be hard to figure out what the difference is. So I want to point out some of the differences and whether or not I believe that the dupe of this bag is worth it and whether or not I believe the actual bag is worth it. So let's actually break down the actual Hermès bag. So this is one being resold and authenticated already by The RealReal. If you take a look at this bag, you'll notice that you can see the leather is pebbled, which is beautiful, such a nice touch. You can see that it has very little hardware, but the hardware it does have is branded like that H locket. And you'll notice the inside of the bag is very soft. The leather that this is made from is called Betten Clemens leather. And I want to just look this up with you all just to get really clear on what that even means. That type of leather obviously has been reused. You can see Birkin in this leather being sold, used for $23,000 just about. It is a very soft leather. It is obviously real leather. And the rarity of that leather is what contributes to the price that Hermès sells their bags at. Some other stats about the bag, you can fit a phone in it if you wanted to. It is tall enough and wide enough. It has flat handles, meaning the way that these handles sit, they're grippable. They're not really handles that have like that feeling that keeps it firm. And it has a pull-through closure at the top. It does not zip closed. So if you're wearing this bag, you're probably not wearing this bag somewhere where it's a crowded room where you may not necessarily feel safe because somebody could stick their hand in their bag if they wanted to. And of course, it comes with a lock. That piece here is an actual lock that comes with a key. I believe most Hermès bags come that way. I do not own one myself, so these are things that I've learned over time. But let me know if I'm wrong. I could be wrong about that. I believe they all come with some version of a lock. This bag is being resold at $4,750, but this bag can very well go for upwards of $8,000 to $10,000. That is the original picotine. That's what it meant to say, picotine. Yes. Now, the picotine that Walmart is creating for us is still a gorgeous bag. I'm not going to lie. I'm looking at it. I'm liking what I'm seeing. This can also fit a phone in it. If you see like here, you can see how it looks like against the scale of like someone's face. It can fit a phone in it. It's very spacious. It also has that locket detail. I believe it is not an actual real working lock. And also the way you might notice that when we zoom in here, you're noticing heavy stitching along the sides and the seams of the bag. That is also a sign of something being mass produced versus hand created like the picotine is. You'll also notice that the inside of this bag has a bit of like a felt to it. It's not real leather. It's not that high quality soft like plush leather. While it does have the pebble detail, it is very much so machine made. And it also has some extra things going on, just like, you'll notice here that it has this tassel or tag hanging off of it. Some luxury bags have this, but this is not something that the picotine does. It's just their way of kind of shifting and changing it so that it's a dupe and not a fake. But one thing you'll notice from me being zoomed in here is the way that the seaming and the stitching is, even in this photo, you can see along this tag here that the stitching and the seaming is not seamless. Like when you look at it, you can already see some, and by what I'm talking about here is that little space and gap. You can already see that there are some spots that have been missed. The bag has not been like deeply cared for and created by those who care. That is a big difference in what you're not getting. So Let me stop sharing. Oops. Sorry. So one big thing about luxury is that what you are getting is that craftsmanship. You are getting that level of exclusivity where you can say this was handmade by such and such people in France, Italy, somewhere. Now, there's this big misconception that if something is made in China or India or Africa, a lot of Asian countries, African countries, that the quality is not there like it would be in Europe. And that is not true. I do think that that is a myth that we need to stop perpetuating. There are amazing luxury brands coming out of these countries. One of my favorites coming out of Africa is Amina Iris. It is a beautiful, beautiful, truly luxury brand. However, they're not price pointed at $10,000. They are much more affordable. And I think that this is where Hermes and a lot of brands are going wrong right now. You have your Gucci, you have your Chanel. Both of those have actually gone down in quality while increasing in price. Hermes has held to their standard, although their price has gone up. But with that, their exclusivity is going up as well. Of course, you can always buy a resold bag, but if you want to get one fresh off the press, you're going to have to work for it. You don't just get to walk in and walk out with one. Um, Unlike Gucci and Chanel, which are very easy to get your hands on for the average person, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you really have to be sure that you're getting the true quality for the price that they're being sold at. For example, some of these bags are being machine produced instead of handmade. Originally, traditionally, these luxury bags would be handmade. That would be a part of the appeal. Now, because people are so used to mass produce objects, and because a lot of these brands would like to increase their margins for their profits, they are selling us bags that maybe are being made with polyester, which is a cheap material, that are maybe being made by machines instead of human beings, and selling them to us as if they are luxury products simply because their logo is on it. Now, there's nothing wrong with a logo. I like a good logo moment every once in a while. However, when you're the average everyday person making that decision around, am I ready to purchase luxury? Your bank account could very well be ready, but you want to make sure you have an understanding and a level of education around what makes a bag really great and really worth it. This goes for bags, this goes for shoes, this goes for denim, this goes for any clothing item, anything really. Even if you were going to buy a car, a luxury vehicle, you would want to learn a little something about how your Aston Martin works before you go just buying one and making such a big purchase. And when you think about the shopping experience behind that, if you were to go into Aston Martin and you wanted to make a purchase on a vehicle, there would be a sit down period where you sit down and you're actually educated on this car and you're actually being given the opportunity to shop with Aston Martin versus just walking in and saying, I'm leaving today with a car. These are part of the things that make luxury and make it a special experience, because if you're spending that much money, you do want it to be an experience that is memorable. Now, if you simply want the look, you can get a great dupe, obviously on Walmart here, or you can even say, hey, that's okay. Instead, I'm going to head over to Toyota or Honda and get a perfectly great car that works perfectly fine and looks really great. And maybe it's not Aston Martin made, but it is the right car for me. And that's the times when you want to start thinking about, like, are dupes something that I'm interested in? I have purchased dupes before. I have also purchased bags from designers before. And there have been, most of the times for me, when I found that a dupe was right for me, was when I was oftentimes mimicking the look of a popular Gucci bag that I did not feel would be worth 3,000 of my dollars, but was willing to give 30 towards, or was even willing to give like 300 towards. So these are the types of things you want to think about when you are shopping luxury and when you are deciding on if you want to put your money towards luxury. But like they say, there is a bit of a luxury scam that's out there where you have to have the understanding if you're actually purchasing something that is truly well crafted and exclusive, or are you just buying the name? And knowing the difference between that is understanding, again, how to identify when you're looking at these bags. Are these bags well constructed? What is the structure of this bag? Where is the material from? How does the material feel? How are the seams of this purse Would this purse fall apart if it got wet? Is this purse something that anybody can get their hands on, or is there a waiting list behind this purse? These are things to consider. So that is what I wanted to share today. That is my 2 cents on the Birkin and the Wirkin and the luxury scam. I think that the Birkin has kind of been oversold to us with social media. It's just so popular. It's become a household name. However, when you think about all the purses that are out there, especially across the spectrum, you don't necessarily need to spend that much money for it to be luxury. There are very much so brands out there who are creating luxury products that don't have a big name. And if you're interested in getting to know some brands that have great quality, maybe they're not necessarily luxury, maybe they're more premium or just high end. If you're interested in getting to know more brands like that as you build out your grown woman closet era, feel free to opt into my email list, join my email list. Every week, I share style tips with you all. This past week, we did talk about handbags. That's also up on my blog. So go to itskylanotKayla.com and subscribe to my email. If you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel already, please do so. If you are not following me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, I'm there. I'm always at It's Kyla, not Kayla. And you will get plenty more conversations like this. But if you if you or someone you know has gotten your hands on a Wirkin, you have your hands on one of the most exclusive handbags of 2025, almost more exclusive than the Birkin itself, which is really funny. And if you got your hands on that, I would love to know. Please let me know. But in the meantime, I'm going to say good night, and I will catch you all later in my next live stream. I would love to chit chat with you all about how to stand out in power, with your power, and dress for your power. Like, what does it mean when I say dress for your power? We're going to really tap into what makes us sparkle and how to express that with our style. So I will chat with you all later. I'm going to go eat dinner now. Have a good night.